started with a modest appreciation of Grand Seiko. And I'll be honest, in my own ignorance of the brand, my interest gravitated to timepieces and other brands with greater recognition and fanfare at the time. I recalled hearing collectors or even enthusiasts say maybe 10 years ago, "It's just another Seiko," which we all know is far from the truth, especially if you meant that as a criticism. But in actuality, over time I learned that that statement is actually a compliment because Seiko makes some of the most impressive affordable watches. The craftsmanship is seen at all tiers of their brand's collection. Many collectors will attest, if you are criticizing, it's because you haven't experienced one on the wrist. I tend to see beauty beyond the surface when it comes to rare finds. Although a watch must connect with me to even make the purchase and add it to my collection, I enjoy spending time studying a piece from case to crystal or from band to the crown. Patience allows you to discover or uncover all hidden elements that otherwise might be overlooked within a watch. And in some cases, a watch needs more to highlight what's truly there. And so, for me, a simple adjustment from this watch's original stainless steel bracelet that kind of drowned out the dial to adding a crocodile cognac strap with honey yellow tone stitching that creates the contrast that truly pops the dial that I desire. It's no limited edition, but with a little creativity of expression, the watch becomes your very own piece. And so we take a look at today's rare find, the Grand Seiko GMT. Now this specific model, the Grand Seiko Automatic GMT, reference number SBGM009. Now this watch has some interesting dimensions. The case size is around 39.5 millimeters. The case thickness is at 13.5. Now the functionality of the watch is that you're going to get hours, minutes, seconds, a date, and then also the GMT function, which is basically the opportunity to set a second time zone with the red hand. The crystal of this watch is sapphire. Case back is stainless steel. The dial is black with red accents. Now I'll be honest, under the light, it also takes on a little bit more of a brown tone depending on how the light hits the dial off the wrist. And the lug width is at 19 millimeters. So at the end of the day, this watch is very versatile, worn on a number of wrist sizes depending on whose taste is interested in the watch. The watch movement is Grand Seiko's in-house self-winding 9S56. Now this is an earlier movement that was created with a power reserve of 50 hours. Now the movement has 27 joules and beats at a frequency of 28,800 beats per second. The accuracy of the movement, looking at the seconds either lost or gained per day, is +5 to -3, which actually surpasses the cost standard of +6, +4. One of the most recognizable expressions of Grand Seiko's mastery in fine watchmaking is their use of something called Zaratsu polishing. This is a technique where a polishing specialist will hold and move the surface to be polished in front rather than at the side with a metal disc that has sandpaper. This way of polishing is more of a complex process, but it makes the surface of the metal extremely smooth. At the conclusion of this process, with a final buff being applied, the surface achieves a mirror finish. The skill of such polishing is determined by a combination of factors, including how much pressure and time is applied to hold the surface against the metal disc, the speed at which the surface is being transitioned over the disc. The craftsperson has to learn to feel the difference as a sensation in their hands to know when they've achieved enough time using the tool. The attention to detail is spectacular from Grand Seiko and in this GMT model. It's actually a part of their design language. which focuses on 9 elements that you will see in the majority of all of the watches that they produce. And the 9 elements are a double width index at the 12 o'clock position, multifaceted rectangular markers, highly polished bezel, highly polished planes and 2-dimensional surfaces, a half recessed crown, a flat dial, multifaceted hours and minute hands, curved side lines, and a reverse slanted bezel, wall, and case side. The reason these elements are so important is because of the simplicity of Grand Seiko, recognizing that as the light hits your watch, it accents and shows different variations, different curves that otherwise would not be seen. The watch hides under the radar to the untrained eye. Now, it won't get the radical reception of a Rolex or an Audemars Piguet, but it quietly stands its own ground as a contender. When you go beyond the hype and ask yourself, what really moves me when I'm considering my next watch? You learn that collecting is not just about the price point or the potential investment, but it's about buying what you enjoy. Grand Seiko has moved on from this movement and even this color wave, this model to some degree. But it goes without saying, this watch has definitely made its mark. The SBGM009 is a conversation piece. Since the earlier models of Grand Seiko kept both the name Seiko and Great Seiko on the dial, I tend to correct initial inquiries with a smirk and a smile, because the follow-up is usually a cool conversation and a seed getting planted about a future Grand Seiko enthusiast. Today's models bear just the name Grand Seiko at the top of the dial, an evolution that I truly do understand. You see, although the brands, or both brands, are amazing, when you choose to journey to Grand Seiko, you see the craftsmanship elevated to an even higher level. As a collector that cares about the passion that goes into watchmaking, the story behind the brands, and the principles that guide their direction, I promise you that your journey will pass to Grand Seiko. The collector I am today is far from the collector I was a decade ago, because now I seek to understand. So the next time you're at a dealer or your local watch boutique and you see the Grand Seiko logo under the glass, take some time to discover and see if their craftsmanship leaves you in a state that's worth joining your collection. As always, thank you for watching, and I look forward to talking with you soon. If you haven't already subscribed, please do so. It truly helps the channel grow, and I plan to bring you more interesting content in the future. Take care.